Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday edition of Into the Night with Sean Kelly, which is me. Hello, Wayne. Glad to meet you. Good to see you here. Thank you for stopping in. Dolly, Diane, thank you for dropping in. I appreciate it. My show is on UPRN Talk Radio, 105.3 New Orleans, 107.7 Mississippi. And tonight I got a good show. I have a great show tonight. Um, the lady, and trust me, she is a lady. I need to tell you that. She's a lady. She's not only my station manager, but she's also a very good friend. And tonight I want to talk a little bit. Hi, Cindy Simpson. Good to see you. Um, and tonight, 2 weeks ago, I talked about the Oreo cookie with the flag of Lorraine on it. Okay, and then come to find out it had the Templars. It's like one of the flags that they took over or they used back in. She will tell me if I'm wrong, but in the 1500 Crusades, and all of a sudden I don't know, something like just really came in, and I was wondering, was Joan of Arc a Knights Templar? I mean, she carried the flag with her. But we're going to learn some more about Knight Templars and about the women of the Knights Templars. I did do my research on it, and back in medieval times, they really weren't considered knights. I guess it was a man thing. But all I know is that they were called, what do they call them, knightness or dames. But they fought alongside, usually with their husbands and stuff like that. So Wayne Mellis says Templar Knights. Whoop, Shane, you should have remained the show into the Knights just for one night. Yeah, that would have been cool. I could have done that, Wayne. But I want to get to our guest. We practiced her last name before the show started. Okay, and so hopefully I get it right. Without further ado, I would like you to introduce you to my guest, Michelle Desrochers. Yeah, I got it. I think I got it. It's okay, Wayne. So Michelle, there she comes. Good evening, Miss Michelle. Hi, how are you? did I say it right?
You did. You did.
Awesome.
Bang on. Oop.
Awesome. Oh,
We're not quite ready to show that one yet.
Oh, okay.
Soon. Yes.
Okay, that's cool. I'll let you do that when you're ready to come in.
Yes, my show and tell.
Well, that's okay. I know. I'm. Thank God you got the controls too. I truly appreciate that.
Well, I wasn't sure. I like it when guests actually do their own presentations like that. But I just had one photo that I wanted to share, and I wasn't sure if you were familiar with playing around with all that.
I'm not. No, we're gonna have to do a lesson on that one day. Seriously, I want to,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
there's some stuff that I would like to put up, but I just knowing me and computers, I'd screw it up, and it's just like.
It's actually pretty easy.
So 2 weeks ago, Michelle, I had a show on the Cross of Lorraine, okay,
Mm.
because it was on an Oreo cookie, okay,
Mhm.
and if you look on the Oreo cookie too, Cindy Simpson says, "Oh, you can see it.
Okay, hold on.
The little things, the Templars. What were they? They were called the Cross of Patty, something like
The
that. I
casa
don't know.
pate. Yeah, I'm gonna put it up for you right now.
Okay,
Actually, hold on. 1 second. Let me share it up so
okay,
people can see it. For those who did not catch it, it would be. Where did it go? Hold on. Chrome tab. Here we go.
okay. You can have that.
Yep, there we go. Right?
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah.
And how I got to doing, I honest to God, that afternoon I ate an Oreo cookie and I saw that cross there and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And it just like dawned on me. And then the next thing that came up was Joan of Arc,
Yes.
because I know that she fought during around the time of the Knights Templars.
Yeah.
And in fact, I asked you that question. Um, was Joan of Arc a Knights Templar? And I'll let you take it from there.
Well, going back in time a little bit, even before Joan of Arc, we have to remember that women warriors were not uncommon by any means. I mean, we have Viking women that fought alongside their men like regularly. This isn't something completely unheard of. But Joan of Arc, it's really funny with her because some people will say, no, there's no proof that she was Templar. They call it like Templar royalty because of the fact that they're like, they don't know who for sure where it all stemmed from. But it did. It stemmed from the Count of Anjou, who was also the king of Jerusalem. And his whole family line goes back to well, he was like the Duke of Lorraine. There, I'll say that because then that might make you go, "What?"
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
and I mean, my whole grandfather's side of the family on my mom's side came from Alsace Lorraine, and this is the area in northern France where many of the Templar nobles were said to have come from. And I had Templars in my family, and they did come from that area. So I'm going to put up a picture now that I'm ready for it, and I want you to just make mention here for a second before I actually bring it to the screen. This the picture I'm going to show you is in Notre Dame Cathedral. Now, Notre Dame Cathedral was constructed, this is in Paris, was constructed by the Knights Templar around 1163 AD all the way to 1250. It took a really long time to do it. The Knights Templars were responsible for most of the cathedrals and large churches and castles and things like that that you see within a certain, like within a 300 to 500 year period. And they put in a statue of Joan of Arc around 1440 AD. So that's almost like 200 years later. And I'll read to you what it is that makes this significant. So here she is. Okay.
Hmm,
Now,
that's
if
cool.
you, yeah, and if you notice, I'm just going to bring this up a little bit. Now, there are things in here which is iconic because it shows her distinctively like she's proper with respect to different Templar items here. So you're going to see like the Templar sword right here, or right here rather. This is a Templar sword. They're very long.
Hmm.
Okay, and they've got the big handle. So there it is. Okay, and this would have been like in 12th century form. Okay,
Okay.
so this is much different than the French swords that were used in her time. Okay, so that's totally different. Her battle flag is mounted on a lance in the manner reflecting the Agnus Dei seal of the Templar Mastery. So there it is. Okay.
Oh, and okay, for people who don't really understand what you just said, can you kind of like put it in layman terms for them?
Well, basically, she had her own flag. Let me see if I can even find a picture of this for you. Let me go. Let me have a look. Look. Where is it? Where is it? I'm going to try to find a picture here of her flag. Ba, 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 ba. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
here it is. Here it
okay.
is. 1 minute. Okay, so now I'm going to come up. I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to pop this off for a minute because it lets me do one at a time. And I'll show you her. Yeah, I'll show you her. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, we don't want to share this one. We want to share this one. Why is this still up? Okay, let's get rid of this guy first of all. Okay, let's try this again. Oh my gosh. Um, come on,
Now,
coming back,
was it
coming back.
the patriarchs of Jerusalem? Did they? They're the ones that gave permission for the Knights Templars to use the flag of Lorraine. Is that true?
Well, the flag of Lorraine that goes back to again. It all stems back to Lorraine, Alsace Lorraine. All of that goes back to the original families who pretty much spearheaded it. But with that being said, the Templars, oh, this is, by the way, her, right? Mary
Oh
Magdalene and
wow.
Jesus Christ. This is her
Oh,
banner.
okay. That's
Okay,
pretty.
so just so
That's pretty.
people could can recognize that. So, but you have to think about this. There were like what, 5, 9 guys that went to Jerusalem initially to help the pilgrims, Christian pilgrims.
Hmm.
Probably about for probably a good like 5 to 10 years before that, there were the Knights Hospitallers. They had the black crosses, pretty much same
Right.
idea. They've been doing that for a long time because you can't expect 5 to 9 guys to bring in thousands of people, hundreds a day. Like you can't keep it's unrealistic. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And with that being said, we know what they were really doing. And a lot of
Hmm.
that stuff is coming to light now. We know they were under the Temple Mount. We know they were looking for, you know, they were looking for ancient relics. They were looking for obviously gold. That was a temple of Solomon, allegedly, right? Because some people believe that the original um, temple and the palace of David, King David, the original temple was off. It was off to the side. It wasn't on the actual Temple Mount. But that's a whole other story. So anyway, they went underneath there and they were looking. Everybody thought they were just looking for gold. They found a lot of stuff there,
Hmm.
but the main focus, of course, were the relics and knowledge scrolls. You
Okay.
know, people don't.
Like the Ark of the Covenant, right?
Yeah, there were probably 10 of those, just so you know.
Oh, no doubt in my mind. No
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and you can get into a whole there's a great series on, Gaia right now. I think it's the Mysteries of the Knights Templar, and,
Hmm.
it's phenomenal. I recommend it to anybody who really wants to learn more about them to go and Timothy Hogan, who is the current Grand Master of the Knights Templar, and, he's Scott Wooler, like, he's totally it's an incredible series, but anyway, so they found a lot of knowledge there. They found scrolls, and you have to think for one moment you had these really wealthy men of title. Okay. When you get into the Knights Templar, you come in, you give up your wealth, and you put
Okay.
it back into the order. So wealthy men don't give up their treasures to go treasure hunting. They don't give up
Right.
their wealth to go treasure hunting. They don't. They go in and they're looking for knowledge, ancient, sacred knowledge from the old mystery schools that go back a really, really long time. Yeah, see, hello, Dolly. Anyway, um, they go way back, and as far as Atlantis, there's a lot.
Atlantis. Oh my goodness, girl.
Sean, it's a whole other story. I guess guys
Oh,
gotta go. It's a whole other story. Seriously.
where would I say like it just seems like I'm being drawn to the Templars, okay? Or and other people out there. Where do you think we should actually start to learn? I mean, I for some reason it seems like I got to take a trip to France because it seems like everything happened up in France. But I
It's it's
know,
an- it's ancient knowledge. It goes back to the ancient Sumerian kings. It goes back to Egypt. It goes back to Atlantis. Wasn't just a small little place or a small island somewhere. It was it was a global thing. So, and
wow,
again, that's a whole other show that we can definitely talk about. But this goes way back. But tonight we're talking about the ladies, so we'll
that's
try to
right.
do my best for you
And
on
of
the ladies.
course, I got the lady to explain it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
So let me get this picture back up if I can
Okay.
find it. What did I do with it? God. Oh, I've got all this stuff up here. Window. Okay. So we get back to the picture of Joan of Arc, and who you can see her depictions here. She's got everything that represents the Knights Templar. There's a little pouch over here. Okay. This mirrors the Templars. Um, they would carry these little pouches, and they were called money pouches. And this is what Mary Magdalene even was said to have, this small little pouch on there. So essentially, what they're doing here in the Knights of the 15th century are saying, like the Knights of the Templar Order themselves, consider Joan of Arc to be a Magdalene type figure, a real warrior, so to speak.
Right.
So when you start looking at all of that, she was exactly that. And she came from temple or Templar nobility and nobility itself. And we know she was a warrior. We know she was.
Right.
But the whole Templar thing thrown in there to me was quite fascinating because women were not, they couldn't be knights per se, but
No,
they would have very important roles within the order, very important roles.
I think one would be like when the Templars went out and on their crusades, their wives or the women would stay behind and run the household and do what the men would have done. And I also believe, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, um, some of the wives actually went with their husbands through the crusades. Am I correct on that?
That is correct. And some of those women would even fight alongside them.
Yeah.
So it was actually a thing. Like they did. It wasn't uncommon. And when you're looking at the Templar community, if you think back, what's the origins of some of these families, it goes back to Vikings. It goes back to the Norsemen because the Sinclair family, for example, the Duke of Normandy, their patriarch is Rollo the Viking, who married the French princess,
Right.
who
I
was
read that.
given, right, and he was given pretty much dominion over that whole area, and this is what they did. This was, part of their cultures. They fought alongside their men. This isn't something it's not common. It's very common. So,
It's just so damn fascinating. You know what I mean?
mm,
There's one I need to read this to you before I even
yes,
forget to read it. But
absolutely.
there was, okay, here it was. Her name was Isabella of France.
That's right. Queen
Okay.
Isabella.
She was a skilled rider and fighter, led an army against her husband, King Edward II,
That's right.
when he when he refused to listen to her advice.
That's how the heck it should be. For
I'm telling you,
sure.
I read that and I'm thinking, oh my god, it's like
I
they're
know.
they're bringing it from that time. But I thought that was so damn funny.
But
With
but it's
her and
but it's true. I mean, she was a smart cookie. She really was. And even when she funded, you know, Columbus, who we don't all love. But anyway, with that being said, he'd been turned down by many people to go on this trek. And he already
mm-hmm,
knew the way, by the way, because I believe it his daughter that was married to a Sinclair. He knew how to get there. He knew the Templars already had a relationship with a lot of the indigenous people throughout South America and the Western world. So he knew, donning those red crosses on his sails, that they would be peaceful upon them coming in. And
mm-hmm.
he betrayed them.
Oh,
I don't know.
and that's why she went to war against him. Did she kick his butt?
Well, I don't know. I don't even know if that is really what advice that that he didn't pay attention to, because she's the one who gave
Still,
Columbus the money. That was in, like, what, 14 something or
it
other.
don't matter. That tradition has come through all them damn centuries and stuff. Like Wayne says, ever have a
It's
woman pissed off at you, Sean? They're a force to be reckoned with. That is so true. Get a group of them together, you're in a lot of trouble. No
And if your
comment,
woman knows
sirs.
how to do really crazy supernatural things, it's
Oh,
worse.
oh yeah, especially I mean, I would have to put up my energy ball, or my energy light. Just, but I could never do it because Michelle's a great woman and she's a good friend. And I'm like, I keep telling her, I'm not kissing her butt when I tell you this. I comes from the heart. Diane, what was in 1492? Was that
Christopher Columbus. I know I had a brain toot, so she filled in the blank for me. Thanks, Diane.
Oh, okay. Well, I
No.
want to I want to say hello to all of Michelle's friends. Thank you for stopping in tonight. I appreciate it. Um, so it's just like when I read about it. And then there's this. Did you ever hear about the Japanese one, Tomo Gozen? Have you ever
No,
heard of her?
no.
Yeah, she was, and there was what? Where are we at? Marie de Saint Paul
I haven't heard
was
of
a
that one. But I mean,
was
there's
a.
also the Celtic Queen Boudica, right?
Okay,
The
I
I
didn't read
believe
that one.
Ireland, Scotland, and she was
Yeah,
a
was
fierce
that?
red hair, right? Fierce,
Yeah,
fierce warrior.
yeah. My brother was telling me about her. Do you have any little bit of information on her? That because my brother's
Um,
listening right now.
oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, she would not have been considered a knight, but she was a very big example. She's very influential, and I believe it was the Romans that when they were trying to, attack
Hmm.
her community or her area, her village, she went in right after them. And this was like around 60 AD, somewhere in there. So she was just a force to be reckoned with. And
I think
and
she
literally
she
her title was the Celtic Queen. So
yes,
she
yes.
was a queen, for sure. So you can find all kinds of information on her. It's just like she's very, very well known. I mean, she's
Dude,
very well celebrated as well, right?
she's a redhead, buddy. That's all you need to
Right.
do. And she's a redhead and she's Irish. What more can a man want? And then God bless the Romans back in that time.
Spicy and a little bit salty sometimes.
So
So
what got you started into the Templars? What got you started to do this? And I know it's your family, but was there a time or a place where you said, "Hey, I really need to look into this"?
it's a really strange story. My grandfather, who is deceased, by the way, almost sort of made it a mission every bloody time. I have I work with many gifted people within this community. I've been doing this for a couple of decades, not as long as many, and but much longer than others. And he was always popping in with all of this information about the south of France. And he kept saying, "You have to go to France. You have to go to France." It says, "I don't have time to go to France. I don't." And when I went to Romania, he goes, "Well, what about France?" "I will get to France, I promise." I had been to France before, but I'd not been to the south of France before. So I said, okay. So over a period, honestly, Sean, of like 2 years, things would
Hmm.
start showing up on my PVR. And I'd say to
Hmm.
everybody in the house, "Okay, who put this up here? Because I'm going to erase it." Nobody put it up. Nobody.
Right.
So I started watching some of the things that were starting to surface on my freaking television. And I was just like, I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is interesting." And I'm a researcher by nature. I research things to death. And I started doing some homework. I started talking to family members, because he always used to say, our ancestor is the only, it was a British king or a French king the only French king to ever rule Britain for like 2 years or 20 years. That would
Okay.
be William the Conqueror, who
Right.
would be the great grandson of Rollo the Viking.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so now we're setting a bit of a stage here, for lineage. And I had my DNA done long before it was a thing, like
Hmm.
on all of these DNA sites. I actually went to an actual DNA, like a laboratory, and had it done, like probably 10 years, like long before that. So I started going in and playing around in there a little bit after all of this other stuff started to
Hmm.
surface, because this started back in, like, I don't know, like 2010 for me, my journey on this stuff.
Okay.
No, so it's been a long time. And I started finding that my Templar roots. And then the dead speak. And they started
Right.
getting all of this validation to the stuff I was finding. They kept pointing me in the right direction, and I kept going in that direction, and I kept researching even more and even more and even more until I started finding people. And then I found out, aside from the Templar stuff, I have other knights in our family. In fact, one of my ancestors, again on my grandfather's side, because the Rollo thing's from my grandmother's side, his wife. It's weird how the families crisscross through time, but he was in the private guard of William the Conqueror.
Oh.
So there's a crossover right there. And his name is on a monument, which shares the same last name as my grandfather, and that would be in England.
Oh my God. Just Honestly, that would have been God, a fly on the wall if I could just sit in a room and listen to your grandfather talk all about this.
It was
You know what I mean?
fascinating.
Oh,
It
I
was
bet.
fascinating. And I found it. I found it all, which was, but I mean, for me, it's always a journey. I'm always looking. Um, obviously, you're doing the DNA stuff is pretty cool. And then I got into, the part of the DNA that showed me or my family in Peru, which is a huge Atlantis, where Atlantis settled into that part of the world, the Atlanteans and the
Right.
Lemurians. Then I find out, I've got some Aboriginal, which were Iroquois, who were also considered their ancestors were the ancient Atlanteans.
So,
Bam. It's like,
damn.
I
So
know.
Atlantis does exist, does it?
Well, Atlantis, it did exist for sure. And the Templars will tell you New Atlantis or New Jerusalem rather is the United States of America. But
I heard that before. I have.
yeah, but Atlantis, yes, it wasn't one specific place. Plato described one place, which was in the Azores off the coast of Portugal. And
Okay.
just so you know, Portugal is where the Templars were long before they went to the Temple Mount and long after. They just went back, changed their names to the Poor Knights of Christ, continued on, and you're looking at Portugal, the Port du Grail. Port of the
Okay.
Grail, Port du Grail.
Part of the girl. Okay.
It's the
Now I'm
Templar.
going to jump up.
Freddie Silver wrote about it. Sorry, Templar Nation. It's all there.
That is so cool because I do watch Oak Island. Okay, and they do have some history. I don't know what you think of that show, but
Never
I
watched it in a
listened
while.
to.
Yeah.
Um, they talk about the Portugal people knights that would come into Oakland. They think Oak Island. They think that they dropped off some stuff back in like 1493 or something. I don't know. Spain is like Portugal, correct?
No. Well,
Pretty close to it.
no, they're fairly close. You've got south of France, which is a big Templar area. Then you've got about 4 hours from there. You've got Spain. Portugal is down on the other side of the Pyrenees. Like
Okay. Another
Atlantis
question.
is believed to be in the ocean. There's a pyramid there. It's
Yeah, I see.
being
Yes.
looked at right now, like as we speak. Mark is just a friend of mine. You're silly. You're really obsessed with that ET, aren't you? I have to ask Amelia to make you one. Talking about my
Oh,
ET.
crochet. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. It's funny.
Okay.
Hmm.
I like your friend's Dolly. She says Portugal is part of the Greek people,
I've been. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So there is
but
a lot of information to be had, and it's sort of like hidden in plain sight,
okay. Because I
if
really
you
would
will.
like to start learning more about it. And we've talked about this before uh, uh,
Chit chats.
over chats, text messages,
Mm,
and it just seems like once an idea comes into my head, it's just like I get so in tune with it, and eventually I find out that it is part of what I am.
mhm.
Um, so I got a DNA test done. I came back was 100% Irish, and as more
Funny
people came
that.
in,
Yeah.
the more people came in, and then now I'm 85% Irish, 15% Polish. And so I can't. It's real hard because I'm Irish. I don't care what people say. It was a great granddad that was from Poland that I get the
Mhm.
15% from. But um, it just really started to fascinate me. I mean, it didn't get to the point to where I was like on the computer 24 hours, 7 days a week, learning about the Knights Templars. But I think they are very, very interesting. In
Mhm.
fact, if I'm not mistaken, um, they got murdered by was it in France or
Oh, Prince
Italy?
Philip. Yes.
Yes, 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 yes. And it happened on Friday the 13th. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Well, they were rounded up on Friday the 13th, I believe, in 1307. They were tortured. Like most of them were gone. Somebody tipped their hand, somebody gave them a heads up, and a whole pile of ships, which it's believed like the Templars owned a huge naval. It's like they had a lot of ships. They had a lot of everything. They were well established. And for people to think they weren't, the reason the king of France went after them is because he owed them a
Hmm.
boatload of money, and he wanted to go to war again, and he didn't want to borrow any more money, so he basically went after them. So anyway, most of them took off out of La Rochelle, which is in south of France again, and everything went with them. So for 7 years, the few of them remained behind, including Jacques de Molay, which was the current grand master at the time, basically to take the lumps, give everybody that chance to get away, and where everything, all these ships load of artifacts and knowledge and everything went. Well, it got dispersed. I believe it went up into Scotland because if you look at the Sinclairs were
Yeah.
actually the keepers of holy relics. So some of
Oh,
it
okay.
came to the New World, some of it went South America, some of it's all over the place. It went through different parts of Europe. It's all literally in hiding because it was never meant to be shared at that time. But
Hmm.
it will be shared. It will be shared. Like it's already starting. It's already starting. So, information is already starting to surface. But they tortured them for about 7 years, and then they were burned at the stake in front of Notre Dame Cathedral. And
Right.
there's the famous Jacques de Molay curse, of course, and he cursed the Pope, and then he cursed the King of France.
And
The
didn't
Pope
they
was
say a
dead
year
within like a month, and the King was
later?
dead within a year.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I read about that. Yeah.
Right.
Well, you don't mess with curses. I mean, but
Oh,
it just seems. And I heard some bad stories about the Templars too, how they would help people travel, correct?
mm,
And they would people would pay them to travel to protect them on their way. I
not
mean,
at
I
all.
just want to
No.
know. Not at
Yeah.
all. Okay.
What it was is the
No.
Templars, they established the first banking, I guess you could say, the first banking industry. What it
Right.
was is it wasn't safe to travel with money back in those days. You would get robbed, you would be killed, you know. So they had these armories that were set up everywhere. So you could go to one in one location and say you had, 30 gold coins. They
Mhm.
would estimate that value. The Templars would only take a very small percentage of that. They would give you basically like a receipt. Then, when you got to your destination, you would go to one of their armories there and they would say, okay, here is a receipt from this one. And then you can collect your money there. So you didn't
Okay.
have to travel with it. So they established the first banking system technically.
I read something about that, and again, when I talked about the Cross of Lorraine, I was looking everything up on Templars, and what they did. It seems like though some of the stuff that I did see about them, they got a raw deal on a lot of stuff.
They did. In fact, right down to, oh boy, right down to worshiping, heresy and worshiping severed heads and this and that. And um, they agreed with a lot because they were being tortured, but they reneged it. Like Jacques de Molay, he said no to the very end. He said he would not cave. And I think that the ones who didn't cave are the ones that were burned at the stake. And I mean, it's only been in the last, I think, 15, 20 years where the Pope came through and said, no, we found this letter going back like not really that long after everything happened to the Templars. And basically they said, no, this was all wrong. Basically, he said they were duped, and they were.
Were they?
So even the church came up and said, no, this was wrong. They did not do any of these things, but it didn't surface. It got missed, whether it was on purpose or
Uh,
not.
just like
But
the
they've,
United States government nowadays, huh?
yeah, they
I'm
came
sorry.
to light.
Like,
Yeah.
and and to me, it just seems like that when people go out and try to do good things for people, that it just seems like there's that one person or a bunch of others that just want to make hell for them because they're doing the right thing. That's the
Hmm.
way I look. How many crusades were the Templars on,
Um,
or
I
big ones, or whatever?
well, I mean, I don't, I really don't have any idea on that one. There's probably about at least what, four or
Okay.
five. I could be wrong, but I mean, there was the crusade. I think against Jerusalem or to Jerusalem to protect Jerusalem was always like it just seemed to go on and on and on. And with that, even when the Muslims took it over. I mean, even Richard the Lionheart came in and he was doing another crusade. And it's just there was just no way. Like even he knew then at that point that there was just no point in fighting. He knew that they would just not win it.
Hmm.
So I think it's something it's always been the crusade for the Holy Land. And the Holy Land just they weren't going to get it. They had it, they lost it, getting it back. Well, I mean, it's still in Muslim hands for the
Right.
most part.
Yeah,
The
that's
Temple
true too.
Mount, this is what it's been about, the Temple Mount,
That mountain out there that they're fighting over, is that
with the
what
dome
they're?
of the rock, like the big gold dome
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's
Yes.
crazy.
But I think they've come to learn just through archaeology that the original Temple of David and Solomon were off to the side. So I don't think it's not where people believe it is, at least the
Okay.
majority of it. So
Um, that's fascinating. I appreciate you talking all about this.
I share what I know. I am definitely not an expert on it. For me, it is something that has become a passion because it's part of my family lines. So it's part of my heritage. When I talk about it, I'm still learning about it a little bit as well.
Mhm.
Um, because there's just a lot of things that media, like everything else, media makes sure that there's a lot of this isn't true. This isn't true.
Right.
A lot uh, when the Da Vinci Code came out and they took a lot of information from Holy Blood, Holy Grail, from Henry Lincoln, who has since passed. Some there were bits and pieces in there that were questionable, and there were bits and pieces in there. Henry Lincoln was a real authority on a lot of things in the south of France and talked a lot about the Templars. But there's so much misinformation out there that it's really hard to research and get proper stuff. I like reading. I buy books. So I buy books. I don't if I see something online, I have to cross-reference it to death, and I
Oh,
usually end
really?
up buying books.
Oh, wow.
But it's like, you know
So, do you have a library in your house or what?
Oh, I do, and yeah, we've been here a year, but I still have so many books put away. There's still so many. But I don't know. I find that we all evolve. Where I started, my journey's always been through the paranormal and other areas of high strangeness, and then I find myself like the picture just keeps getting bigger. Like I retired
Yes.
from the paranormal for the most part. I mean, I still help people. I still do radio because radio for me is just bringing on people that I want to learn from.
Exactly.
Bounce ideas
Hmm.
around like this. I retired from television probably about 3 years ago. I'll do documentaries and stuff. I still do a lot of consulting and things like that. But I just, I just look at the paranormal. It's not that I still don't, enjoy the field because I spent 20 years in it, but I really see the bigger picture of things and realize that it's all so connected that you can't concentrate on just one thing, like the paranormal itself. It crisscrosses into ufology. You have
Right.
ancient history falls into so much of, oh, it's a big, big, big picture. So,
Oh, honest to God, yeah. Because look at me. Well, first of all, before I get into me, Kaysen, he's a good dude, man. I like that. He's a follower of mine. He says, I'm late to the show. Does the Templars get their hands upon the Ark of the Covenant?
um, they believe that they know where, like, again, guys, go to Gaia, check out Mysteries of the Knights Templar. They believe they know where there are 7 to 10, and they know what they were for. I know Ethiopia is said to have
Hmm.
one, but they don't know for sure if it's there, or if there's just scrolls, or there's a lot of repros out there. The idea, what the
Hmm.
belief system was with the arcs, is that, again, this stems back to Atlantis. If you even go back into ancient Egyptian history, before Noah's Ark, or not Noah's Ark, before the Ark, with Moses, there were depictions and
Hmm.
hieroglyphs of Egyptian people carrying what looked like an ark, pretty darn close. Might just been like, the
Okay.
fancy angels and stuff on it that looked different. But I think that some of the ancient cultures all sort of got into this. But they were believed to be power sources, and they were popped around, wherever these Atlantean communities were and such. And secondhand, I'm relaying this secondhand, but it makes sense to me that always
So the power of the ark was the one, just like us using crystals. Is that what you're trying to say? You
mana,
know how we get entered? What's that?
mana. It was
Nana?
mana, the
Uh,
power source. Yeah, you have to start thinking
okay.
alchemy now.
Oh my God, girl, this is crazy.
I'm just saying, yeah. So
But like you were
again,
saying, like, okay,
no, I'm
your
just
turn.
saying, different show.
Okay, well,
I know.
excuse. But it's funny because I was real hardcore in the paranormal, did it for such a long time. But once when I started, doing radio and being on UPR and talk radio, um, now aliens for me, UFOs, cryptids, now Templars, and God only knows where else I'm going to be going with this. But you know what? I don't mind it because I find everything very interesting. No matter what comes up, I find it. Okay, we got another question for you. Some people say the Templars took the Ark to England. Is that possible? Kaysen's been dying to meet you, Michelle. He really has
He
been.
pops up on the show once in a while on our show. Yeah, I love communicating. I'm glad to see him there. There are probably close to 10 arcs. Therefore, one could very well be in England or Scotland, more likely. But they're all over the place. They have been moved, and they are put in places where they are safe. So when you get an understanding of what they really are, where they came from, what their use was or purpose, things start to make sense. And I agree with you, Sean, that I look at it as part of our evolution.
Hmm.
I looked at, the paranormal opens your eyes in one way. And I always say that at least half of the people I've worked with and throughout the paranormal, which started out to be a paranormal issue, crossed over into extraterrestrial races and sightings, and both of them, like, oh my goodness, so many of the different characteristics, they're all the same, they match. So
Hmm.
what you think you were experiencing here could have been this as well.
Exactly. Oh, we got somebody from
Carrie
Carolyn.
Lynn, she does Spirit Switchboard on our network, and Dolly does the Light Gate with Preston Dennett on Monday nights. See,
Oh,
our hosts are
oh,
all
look at
chiming
this.
in.
This is great. God
It's
bless you,
like a,
Dolly. God,
PRN
Carolyn. Yes,
family. Yeah.
yes, I know. And that's what we are. She says, grab your Oreos. We are going down the rabbit hole, bigger picture for sure.
We
It
are.
is true. I'd grab my double stuffed ones. I like the double stuffed Oreos. Thank you guys for coming on the show. But oh, it's like, let me get this out of it. But everything is just fascinating to me. And when I thought of the topic, I thought of you because we discussed, your heritage, your lineage, and it just tickled my fancy, if you want to say something like
Well,
that.
I
It
I
just,
have to say, Carrie Lynn, actually was a little bit of a push for that as well, because she was doing a reading for my son, I think. And all of a sudden, all of this lineage stuff started coming out. So she had to stop and call me and say, "Okay, holy shit!" And she's very, very gifted lady, and just through multiple readings I have with her, and she was one of those people that said, "You need to go to France." Well, my grandpa's on the other side going, "Yeah, there you go. I made one of your friends tell
Grandpa,
you." I
Grant,
know,
Carrie Lynn, thank you for kicking her in the butt to start
I
going.
know.
Thank you very much.
And I had to take my son with me.
Wayne says, "Hey, family, I'm like that weird distant uncle that is part of the family, but not really part."
He's been
You
on a
got
lot of the shows.
you guys. Oh, Kaysen would like you to speak about more of the mana.
Yeah. There we go. See, look at that. That's
Hmm.
right. I have to put that one up. Give a big kudos. It was
Yes, thank
intense.
you,
I know.
Carrie Lynn. Thank you.
Yeah, because we honed in on my son's reading. I had to take him to France with me. So, anyway, sorry, I'm hijacking.
That's you're allowed to hijack. Kaysen would like to know more about the mana, please.
um, well, it's funny because it's a power source. Man, it's just sort of like it's you have to think alchemy as to how they would make it. I'm trying to see if I can break it down for you guys in layman's term. What does mana mean? Okay. Well, they're saying spiritual power, man is a supernatural force. I don't think so about that.
No,
But
no.
yeah, I'm trying to find you guys something. The word manna in the Bible. Here we go. Is a food from heaven and bread of the mighty. But I think for extraterrestrials, because what did he say? See, Jesus talked about the man, and he talked about otherworldly things, just like Enoch did, just like Ezekiel, right? So
Okay, yeah.
if that's guys, it's all alchemy. There's so much to explain about that. I really have to say, go watch Mysteries of the Night Templar on Gaia. Seriously, go and watch it. It will answer so many freaking questions. It's unbelievable, including that one, because, you know, not really my
Now,
thing. So,
have
but
you have
because it's
you have
alchemy
you?
and it's really, really, really a deep rabbit hole as to how it was made, why it was made. Some people believe that it would fuel UFOs. You
I
know,
never heard this before,
say
Michelle. Honestly,
I know. See, it's
I'm,
a
I'm, I'm
really,
and I'm
I
going to
know.
spare you your headache.
Okay,
And
because we don't have enough time for me to explain all about the mana.
no, I don't want you to. I want you to sit back, enjoy, relax, and have fun. See,
I'm
Sunday
having fun.
nights is my relaxation show.
Right.
That's good. My relaxation. My Sunday is my relax. Tuesday is the one when you get a little bit hardcore on it. But just to have you on my show, I am like totally, totally honored to have you on here. I mean, literally. But we are
Well,
getting
thank you.
close, you know. Before we go, again, I have to say that I'm on UPRN Talk Radio 105.3. Is it New Orleans or Mississippi, hon?
I would think
One.
Mississippi. Joe says New Orleans, but
Okay,
105.3 is that's out on the Gulf Coast, just so you know.
okay, so that would be Louisiana, maybe
Yeah.
107.7 Mississippi. I get those
Yeah.
things confused all the time.
I have no clue.
And I also want to thank I also want to thank Carnation for sponsoring the show tonight. I truly, truly appreciate it. Um, any last comments, Michelle? Anything that you would like to talk or
Yeah. I think that if you guys are really, really interested in this topic or others, just just cross-reference everything. There's tons of misinformation out there. The Templars got a really raw deal, and there's a lot of real accurate stuff out there. And I highly recommend doing your research and start with, like I said, Mysteries of Nice Templar. Read anything from Freddie Silva, Templar
oh, really?
Nation. He
Oh,
spent
wow.
19 years researching, hardcore researching, and he's got 2 books on the Knights Templar. Templar Nation is unbelievable. So a big plug into him.
We got another question from Kason. Do you think the Ark is at Ethiopia, please. Last question.
Again, it's believed that there are actually 10 arcs. I would think probably more that may not even have been discovered. It's believed Ethiopia claims to have an ark, um, but nobody can get in to see it. So we know that they have a lot of really ancient information there. Like they have scrolls, they have everything. Because technically speaking, the Queen of Sheba from Ethiopia had a son with King Solomon who had the ark. The son, King
Hmm.
Ethiopia, Queen of Sheba. I don't know.
Oh, well.
Sounds to me like anybody's going to get dibs on anything. It would have been the son.
Yes, I would have to. Okay, Dolly has one last thing. Dolly, thank you. I got to listen to Dolly's show now, and I'm going to have to
You
listen to Sherry
do.
Lynn's. I have to.
I'll
In
be
fact, I might.
co-hosting tomorrow night with Preston. Dolly will be on
Well,
another show.
well, I'll tell you what. I might be get Dolly on my show. Dolly, would you like to come on my show? We can chat. Same way
Dolly's a
with Sherry
hoot.
Lynn. Yes,
Dolly's a
yes.
hoot.
But again, Michelle, thank you very much for being on. Uh, she said, "Yep." Oh, cool. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. But thank
I'll
you
hook you
again,
guys up.
Michelle. There you go. Yeah, you know all them women out there. So I'm just joking with you. I'm just joking. But listen, again, thank you very much for being on the show tonight. If you like to hang around real quick, on my Sunday night shows, I draw 3 cards, 3 animal medicine cards. Um, the first one I pull is the past. The second card I pull is the now. And the third card I pull is for your future.
Ooh.
And Wayne says, "You're safe with me, Sean." I don't have a show. I
He's
like him.
co-hosted with me a couple of times. He's a lot of
I
fun.
like him. He's a good dude. You're all your friends are really, really sweet and cool.
Ah,
So
thank you.
what I tell my people, everybody, I'm going to draw the 3 cards, and after the show, please Google what that animal it has the meaning in your life path for today. Um, the reading might not suit you, but maybe tomorrow or the next day down the road. But the first card I'm pulling, ooh, good one. This is the past. It is the lizard. The lizard's your past. That's like the turtle, huh? The lizard's like the male part of the energies. The lizard is the female's the turtle, correct?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I'm following your lead on this, Sean.
Okay, now the card that is like for happening right now is the moose. That's the now card. And our future card is the blue heron. That's crazy. I never had. I drew these not too many, not too long ago, a long time ago. I drew them. But my gosh, thank you so much for being on tonight. I
Oh, it's a
hope
pleasure.
everybody enjoyed themselves tonight. It was nice to meet other people, um, your friends, and some of the family at UPRN. This was great. And children, please, if you can, please do this for me. Go up and give your parents a hug and tell them that you love them. And parents, please go to your children, give them a hug, and tell them that you love them. Because even if you don't have a child, even if you don't have parents, find somebody that you know, a friend or whatever, just go up and give them a hug. And if you see somebody hurting right now, because February is a bad month for depression, and people are down. If you see somebody hurting, just go over and say hello, give them a smile, do something, and just make them feel good. Just make sure that they know that they are wanted. Okay. And on that note, I want to thank everybody again for joining the show. And on that note, good night, everybody, and see you Tuesday night.
Good night.